come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard, then the gloves are off so beautifully. Now, I think they know not to touch our troops. As Americans, it's really time to pay attention because anything can happen. So Iranian state media just said on national TV, there will be a surprise tonight that the world will remember for centuries. Mind you, everything that's going on between them and Israel didn't slow down. They're saying that Iran is about to launch its 10th airstrike. And all of this shit got to send off some type of red flag. Yesterday it was said that Iran had plans on assassinating President Trump. Then you turn around this morning and President Trump says, we now have complete and total control over the skies of Iran. Then President Trump said, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but it's safe there. We are not going to take him out. At least not for now. And if you want to see those words in its entirety, he said it on Truth Social. But tell me this, that sounded like a big threat, didn't it? And mind you, President Trump said this today, that he's not in a mood to negotiate anymore. So again, what does that say to you? China told Chinese citizens to get out of Israel and Iran. Russia told Russian citizens to get out of Israel and Iran. Now and again, these are just words. But as we know, words could truly escalate a situation. But I guess everything will be addressed real soon. Pay attention.
Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the Great Millstone. Peace and blessings, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Barakathum, to the sincere believers, the hopefully elect out there. Alright, so this is a war update dealing with Israel, Iran, and now America getting involved directly in the conflict. Okay? And to start it off, let's get a scripture. Let me pull up the blue letter real quick. Alright? Because right now you have many embassies across the Middle East that are evacuating because these threats have been sent out. All right, you have Iran making threats saying that the world is going to remember an event that they're going to, perform, you see. But in Habakkuk 2, in verse 1, we'll start at the top. I will stand upon my watch, which this is what we're supposed to be doing in these last days, standing upon our watch. Constantly being vigilant, constantly being circumspect, looking around, paying attention to prophecy, looking at the people in this world, looking at the events to gauge what time it is, okay? Standing upon our watch. And set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I reprove. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. But at the end, which is we're in the end right now, we're in the last days, the last seconds of the last days, it shall speak. These visions are speaking. You're seeing these things happen in real time. The things that the men of the Lord have been prophesying of for decades, what was written of aforetime by the prophets of old, these things are taking place in our generation, this time that we're in right now. Because why? We're in a transition to a new age. See, we're at the fall of Esau and the transition into the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So this world is going out by violence, okay? And this is going to be a very terrible end for all the unbelievers, all the wicked, because you see that these wars are ramping up to the point where these nations, they're really about to start moving ground troops. They're already sending carriers, they're already sending destroyers to the so-called Middle East. You had Trump come out on Truth Social and say that we have the airspace of Iran locked down. So things are escalating. See, we're in a full-blown war between Israel and Iran in the Middle East. Okay? So it's going down. And what I shall answer, Salakia, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. All right, don't the scriptures say to let the Most High be true and every man a liar? All right, because you'll have bug outs, you know what I'm saying? These Christians, come out and say, oh, well, we're not in the last days, or, World War III is not going to happen in our lifetime. Okay, that's a person that you should stay far away from. Listen, anybody that professes to believe in the Bible and they're telling you that we're not in the last days or that these things are far off, stay away from that individual because the Spirit of the Lord is not dealing with them. They're blind, okay? And if you follow them, both of y'all gonna fall into the ditch. You see? So you need to pay attention to what's real, all right? You need to pay attention to the real man of the Lord giving you the 100% truth, breaking it down, thus saith Yahweh Bashmil Shai, plugging these world events into biblical prophecy. This is how you get understanding, man. Okay, line upon line, precept upon precept. But first and foremost, you got to be in the spirit to even receive these things, okay? Because you can explain to an individual till they blue in the face, all right? Line upon line, precept upon precept, but if the Spirit of the Lord is not upon them to see the vision, to see the prophecies, then they're not going to get it. You're basically wasting your time, okay? So this is why repentance is at the forefront, man. You know what I'm saying? Having faith, believing, okay? But it says, yeah, it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So these prophecies, these visions, all right, the end of this world is not tarrying no more, man. See, the Lord is turning things up. And you know that at this point, things are getting so heightened because the elect are pretty much sealed or almost sealed. All right. We are here, man. See, World War III is on and popping. We're already in it. All right. You don't need the mainstream media to come out and say, "Oh, we're in World War III." No. When you deal with World War I, World War II, it wasn't an announcement that, oh, we're in a world war. No, it was certain events that took place over a period of time, and gradually over time things got worse and worse and worse till more and more nations became involved in these conflicts, to eventually the whole world was at war. This is where we at. All right, because you could really say that World War III started with the whole NATO Ukraine situation. You see, you could say it started there. Now you have multiple war fronts opening up to now where all these other nations, pursuant to Jeremiah 49:20, that the small hats, the state of Israel, is drawing out the rest of the nations to war. So we're already in it, man. Because this whole conflict you see between Israel and Iran, it's spilling over into other nations, and we'll get into a video to show you just that. All right, because all of what Esau is doing is to gain back the birthright, but he's doing it by way of the sword. Okay, that's his blessing by Genesis 27. All right, Isaac told Esau that what by the sword shalt thou live. So he's trying to gain the birthright by the sword, by way of warfare, bloodshed, killing, deceit, lies. Okay, that's how these devils operate. All right, so these visions are not tarrying, man. Now, check this out, okay? Because Trump, right? We now have complete and total control. Trump confirms U.S. is part of conflict with Iran. So now he came out on Truth Social and he basically said, yes, we are directly involved in this war. President Donald Trump appeared to offer confirmation that the U.S. is now participating in Israel's attack on Iran in a Tuesday social media post. Amid escalating tensions and the exchange of bombings after Israel attacked Iran nuclear facilities last week, Trump has faced questions about the extent of U.S. involvement. And mind you that when Israel initially struck Iran, all right, Trump came out and denied that the U.S. had anything to do with it, but that was a lie. And that furthermore shows you that, especially in these times now, you can't even take nothing of what these devils say as the truth. All right, unless you can fact check it and verify that it's right and exact. But if these devils just come out and tell you something, don't believe it, because it's all part of a narrative. Okay, it's all propaganda. It's all part of a narrative because they have to make themselves look good despite of what the truth actually is. All right, because I saw a part of the press conference in which they was asking Trump questions about the involvement, if America will get involved in the Israel conflict, and he was basically either beating around the bush or he just straight up said, I don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So you could tell by Trump's body language and by the things he was saying, that he already knows that basically he already knows where it's at and where it's going. Okay, but they can't let people know that because they got to keep things. They have to have some sort of control over things. All right, because if they just come out and say yes, we're involved in a full blown war with Iran and this nation is getting in and this nation, it's going to be worldwide panic. So basically, he's there to basically be like a PR spokesman. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it PC. All right, so things don't get out of control until they want it to get out of control. All right, that's this devil always seeking to control the narrative. All right, so it says Trump has faced questions about the extent of U.S. involvement in the conflict. In a new post on Truth Social using the term "we," Trump wrote, "We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran." And who is this "we" that he's talking about? Okay, is it just America that's involved in this, or are other nations in this as well? Because he's saying "we," right? All right, so reading on. It says Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. Right? That's the post that he made on True Social right there. Okay. So he's came out today and officially said that yes, we are involved. All right. Also, this here, Erdogan condemns Israel's strike on Iran, warns it threatens to destabilize entire Middle East. Okay, so you see that President Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, he's been very outspoken against the small hats. Okay, especially with the whole Gaza war thing going on, he's been very outspoken, and it's prophesied that Turkey is one of those nations, all right, that's going to be aligned with Russia, that's going to be aligned with China. Okay, when you go to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, all right, because you always have new listeners coming in. Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, prophecy about Gog and future invasion of Israel. So check this out. Ezekiel 38:1, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog. Okay, Gog goes into Russia. Okay, the land of Magog. Okay, which Magog means of Gog. All right, so of the land of Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Okay, so Yahweh Bashmel Shai is against Gog. He's against Russia. Okay, he is against the leadership of Russia, but he's going to use them to fulfill this third world war. Reading on, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, meaning that he's going to control them. He's going to make them, all right, do what he wants them to do. The same as you put a bridle in the mouth of a horse to control the horse where you want it to go. This is how the Lord is controlling these nations. Okay, it says in Daniel, I believe the 4th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, that the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. In matter of fact, I don't even want to butcher it. How was that worded? Decree of the watchers. I believe that's Daniel. Daniel 4th chapter and 17th verse real quick. Daniel 4:17, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. All right, so the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he setteth up the kings. You know what I'm saying? He controls what these leaders on the earth are going to do. Okay, so going back to Ezekiel 38, right? I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right, so these nations are gathered together for war. When you read Joel the 3rd chapter, it says, "Well, wake up the mighty men, prepare for war." Okay, we're in a time of war, as the scripture says. A time for peace is a time for war. We're in a time of war. All right, Ezekiel 38:5, Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So these nations are also going to join in on this third world war. They're going to be aligned to Russia. Russia is going to guard these nations here. Okay, And Persia is the big one right now. Okay, Persia is the main one that's in the news, going back and forth with Israel. Okay, Ethiopia, there's news about Ethiopia as well, getting their armies ready. Libya, same thing. So it's all biblical prophecy that's coming to pass. Gomer, which is Turkey, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, Turkey, and all his bands and many people with thee. So Turkey, all right, Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, he's being outspoken. This is because the Lord has put his spirit on him to now get involved. All right. So this is all, call her Lord Yahweh Bashmil Shah. This is all the will of the Lord playing out here. Okay. Yeah, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right? After many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people, against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. All right. So here as well, verse 10, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Right? So the Lord is the one that's raising these nations up to ultimately destroy themselves. Right? And Yahweh Shah is going to come in the midst of them doing war. You can read about that in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, where it speaks about all these nations being at war. Then Yahweh Shah returns in the midst of World War III, and they turn their guns on him. If I remember in this lesson, we can get that towards the end. All right, if the spirit permits, but this is how it's going to go down. All right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmil Shah. This is how it's all going to go down, man. So you see everything being lined up here. All right, you see the rhetoric of Turkey. You see that America is now into it. China, North Korea, Pakistan, India, South Africa. You see what I'm saying? So we're already in World War III already. It ain't no going back. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has publicly condemned Israel's recent military actions against Iran, labeling the strikes as, quote, a clear provocation that threatens to destabilize the Middle East. And as we speak right now, the Strait of Hormuz is being cut off, okay, which means that the oil, the natural gas coming from that region is not going to make it to the Western world, which means that I went into a lesson yesterday through the spirit that gas prices, they were saying that gas prices could significantly go up starting this week, okay, going forward, man. Global trade is going to break down because many, goods travel through that Strait of Hormuz region to reach Europe, to reach America, Canada, South America, and things like that. So there's about to be mass famines across the globe. All right, so this is not a small thing right here. You know what I'm saying? This is the Lord, performing his wondrous works within the earth. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Okay, haven't we been seeing a lot of protests over the past few years? All right now you have the whole no kings protests and people rising up in seditions against the regime of President Donald Trump. Okay, you have the same thing going on in Europe because over there they're bringing down draconian decrees. I'm saying all across the earth you're seeing seditions among men. You're seeing uproars of the people. All right, protests and things of that nature. All right, so this is where we at. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand. So when you see these things happen in the earth, okay, earthquakes all over the place. I think Colorado just had like a 4.5 magnitude earthquake some days ago, which has never happened before in recent history. All right, you have hundreds of earthquakes go off all across the earth, man. So these things are unprecedented. These are, these things have never been seen before. Okay, but when you see these things, right, then you're going to well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning pursuing to biblical prophecy. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. Okay, and the end of this world is manifesting before us very, very rapidly. Okay, but before this whole World War III jumps off, all right, it's going to be the MOTB. The mark is going to come before. Okay, so listen, any day now, it can be a major false flag event. It can be lights out, to where these devils can move in and say, okay, now this is going to be the solution, because we know that they have an order out of chaos agenda that's taking place right here. Okay, so these things are set to come forth very soon. So this is why you have to be very vigilant, watch what's going on, and stay locked into the spirit, man. Don't get distracted. Don't get bugged out with the cares of this life, the thoughts of the flesh and pleasing the flesh, man. It's time to put that off, man. It's time to put off the weak nature, and it's time to put on the full armor of Yahweh Bashim Shah that you can endure and last in these last days. All right, so this right here is from Jeffrey Sachs. U.S. prepares to join war against Iran. And for many Americans, Babylonians, this is the news that they always feared, because they understand now, especially since Trump has came out today and confirmed that yes, America is involved in this conflict, that this is World War III, and that very soon there's going to be war drafts, conscriptions. You see what I'm saying? And when you go into Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, we'll just hold that. All right, it tells you that the women shall mourn because they're not going to have no bridegrooms. You know what I'm saying? Their husbands are going to die in these wars overseas. All right? So these YNs, okay, these 2/3 niggas, man, they going to be sent to war overseas in the so-called Middle East, and they ass going to get turned to topsoil, man. That's what's going to happen. All right? And you have a lot of people on Twitter that's like, damn, this is really the end. You know what I'm saying? Because the videos are out there of the missiles raining down in that region, man, and it looks scary as hell. All right, if you're not in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai, seeing these things are going to make you afraid. You read Luke 21 and 25, it tell you that men's hearts shall fail them for fear, seeing the things coming on the earth. You see? So the mirth is gone. People, mental health, morale is at an all-time low. There's no future. There's nothing to look forward to, man. This world is, passing away. Okay? And let's get 1 John 2 and 15. We're going to get to the video, but, the spirit is on, to bring these precepts out. All right? We're going to go 1 John chapter 2 real quick. Then we get to the video. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. Do not love the world. Okay, this world is passing away. Don't love it, use it, don't abuse it. All right, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, which all these things are being taken away. All these things are coming to naught. All right, it's all vanity. It's not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of Yahweh abideth forever. You see, the world pass away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of Yahweh Bashim Shai abideth forever. So repent, okay? Come back to the Lord while you still have the time, while the doors of mercy are still open, and you can receive the blood of the Lamb, okay? The scriptures say to seek ye the Lord while he may be found. So that means it's going to come a time where the Lord is not going to be able to be found. All right, and that's a scary thought right there. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine that all hell is breaking loose around you, and you trying to seek the Lord with all diligence and sincerity, and the Lord is not there. He's withdrew himself from you. Whew. That's going to be a scary situation, man. See, that's why you got to fear the Lord. Because at the end of the day, the Lord is bringing the judgment on this earth, so he has the power to exempt you or to give you over unto the chaos and ultimately death. You see, because look, the scriptures say that it's going to be either famine or the sword. Okay, and the sword comes in many different forms. The sword, catching one to the head, you know what I'm saying? Catching some horrible disease, you see, getting sliced up, you know what I'm saying, eaten. Okay, the famine is also a part of the sword, man. You know what I'm saying? But these are the ways. Listen, man, the Lord is going to be taking people out in these last days on some Final Destination type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be some very gruesome, very out of this world judgments. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say it like that. Okay, but now we can get to Jeffrey Sachs. U.S. prepares to join war against Iran, and we're gonna check out a short portion of this. And I really want to get to the end because he says something very profound at the end. But let's start right here. Lord willing, this is edifying.
Both in Ukraine and with respect to Iran, but it doesn't seem very genuine. You also mentioned that there's a lot of lying going on because in Ukraine, no one's. I mean, if they wanted de-escalation, someone would have picked up their phone. And also, when it comes to Iran, they said they want de-escalation, but they couldn't ask for a ceasefire. Indeed, that was the context when Macron said that Trump was going to work on a ceasefire. He had this either angry response. So, what exactly is de-escalation if you're not willing to consider reducing the conflict? Is this just talk, or what? How do you make sense of the language?
The basic idea of the United States, Britain, France, especially, if there is an idea, these are three imperial powers. The idea is we determine the bottom line. So we are the ones that determine the outcomes of a conflict. That's the mindset. Of course, they don't. This is the post-imperial post-Western imperial world, but the Western imperial powers believe that they determine the outcome. And so in the case of Ukraine, the idea has been, well, yes, there will be a ceasefire, but according to Macron, say, or Starmer, NATO will enlarge and Russia will have to accept X, Y, Z, and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth. And so there's no attempt to get to the core politics at all. In the Middle East, the same is true. The unspoken part of all of this is Israel's claim to have its say and way in the Middle East, in terms of territory, in terms of crushing, even exterminating the Palestinian people, if that's what it came to.
And see, that's what it's all about. Because see, these devils, those Amalekites, those rats over there, they have an agenda called the Greater Israel Project, and also a part of that, the 10 Kingdom Plan. Okay, so the Greater Israel Project is basically where these devils are trying to take control of all the land from the River Nile in Egypt to the Euphrates River. Okay, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the Euphrates runs into the land of Iran, Persia. So as Jeffrey Sachs just said, all right, in that region, it's all about the small hats, because you keep in mind, right, the land of Israel, they're surrounded by nothing but Muslim nations, okay, Arabs basically, and they run the politics in that region. Okay, they say who can have what, just like right now, Israel's trying to tell Iran that you can't have nukes when Israel has nukes. You see? This is why they demonized Saddam Hussein. They went against Gaddafi. They took him out. Okay, pretty much any leader that disagrees with the regime of Israel, they on the chopping block, man. Okay, so now it's Iran. Okay, which they've been looking to get at Iran. Like, you go back to the 90s, the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Like, you you always had not Salakia, not a Jew, all right, always talking about getting at Iran, okay, but they had to get these other rebellious leaders, quote unquote, out the way first. Okay, so now they got their eyes set on Iran, and this is why Friday they went into Iran and they bombed them unprovoked. Okay, because Iran basically told them, listen, we don't have to listen to you. Y'all don't run us. Y'all don't control nothing over here. So we're gonna do what the hell we want to do. Y'all can go kick rocks. See, and Netanyahu don't like that, man. So they went in with the go ahead from America, and they did what they had to do. So now this is going to spill over into a broader war. You see, but this is all again going into the fact that Esau wants the birthright. Okay, because that promise of uh, uh, the children of Israel receiving the land from the river Nile to the Euphrates River, that's prophecy. But see, Amalek, he has now inserted himself into taking our possession, man. See, he has inserted himself into the birthright, which does not belong to him. So this is why he's going about getting it by the sword, which is his blessing. See, but at the end of the day, he's in a trick bag because Amalek really feels as though he's making ground. He's going to accomplish his enterprise, but the Lord is really setting it up to where he's going to destroy himself. All right, that's the whole thing about it. All right, because right now the way that these devils are moving is not wise. Because just look at what's happening. This is no longer just a conflict between Israel and Iran and America. Now you have China, Russia, Pakistan. Okay, you have Turkey now getting involved. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what NATO's going to do? Well, according to Revelation 17 and 16, NATO, all right, America's vassal states, you know what I'm saying, that the European allies, they're not going to be messing with them like that. You know what I'm saying? They're going to separate and join themselves unto the BRICS nations and come against the whore. Okay, let's get that real quick, man. Because see, Yahweh Bashmel Shah is beautiful the way that he's setting this up. All right, Revelation 17 and 16, right? Let's get it. Revelation 17 and 16, it says, in the 10 horns, okay, which goes into NATO and in the EU, which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. The whore is America, Babylon the Great. All right. So the scripture is saying here that the 10 horns, okay, NATO, okay, which NATO and the whore are, are a conglomeration that formed the beast system, the collective Western world, right? But this goes into the Egyptian against Egyptian right here, man. This goes into Satan's house being divided, all right, to where Esau, he gonna fight against himself. There's a lot of infighting with these Edomites right now. Okay, so the 10 horns, NATO and the EU, shall hate the whore, and they're hating the whore right now because of the policies that are coming out from America. All right, Trump's harsh rhetoric against Europe, all right, putting trade sanctions on them. You see what I'm saying? Saying that they're stupid, saying that they don't put up money towards the defense budget and all this and that. These things that he's been saying since he's got in office and really over the years has now driven Europe to a point where they're like, man, you know what? It's not wise for us to continue to be following the whore because the whore is also back in Israel. So if we follow them into this so-called Middle East conflict, we're going to get destroyed. Okay, so hell nah, man. We about to leave this and we about to get with Russia and China. You know what I'm saying? To hell with the whore, to hell with Israel. They can fight this war on their own. You see, you know what I'm saying? We ain't going over there. And let's not forget, NATO was pretty much involved in the Ukraine fighting all by themselves. So the fact that America is not there helping them in that conflict says to Europe, well, America is really not our ally, so why be aligned with her? Why follow her to the grave? You see? Europe is now looking out for their own interests, man. So again, this is the Most High putting a division within the house of Esau. Okay, this is why understanding these prophecies is so important, to understand how these nations are moving and what's going on in these last days. But check it out. And it says, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. How is this going to happen? Well, these NATO nations, all right, Europe is going to shoot nukes over to America, Babylon the Great. The same way that you see that those you know what do you call it? Those missiles, all right? I forget what type of hypersonic missiles are flying in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. You look up in the sky, they coming down, they raining down. It's gonna be the same thing here in America soon come. Okay, you gonna be seeing this time. It's not gonna be no hypersonic missiles. It's gonna be nukes flying like that, and it's gonna be a whole barrage of them, man. They're gonna let them off, and they're gonna come to America, and they're gonna rain down on this place, man. You know, the scripture is going to the strange rains, okay, which the ICBM nuclear missiles are part of those strange rains. You see, this is how this place is gonna be burnt with fire. Why is this gonna happen? For Yahweh had put in their hearts to fulfill His will. All right. So as we read in Daniel 4:17, man, the Lord controls the kings of the earth. Okay, He rules in the kingdom of men and setteth up over it whosoever He will. So it's the Lord's will that's going to be fulfilled at the end of the day. So you can't pray against this. You can't run away from it. It is what it is. Okay, the Lord's will is going to be done no matter what. You can't stop it. For Yahweh hath put in their hearts to fulfill His will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Yahweh Bashmi Shai shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth, which is America. Okay, so then let me see here. Okay, yeah, so this is what it's all about, man. This is all about Esau trying to get that birthright back, trying to establish himself in eternal rulership, but it's not going to work, okay, because the blessing is already gone to Jacob, and what he's doing is all in vain. Let's continue.
Think that they would not hesitate to do it, as they have shown in Gaza. That's the unspoken part. So the Western side, these imperialist powers, think that.
Oh, Salaki, and also, there is going to be no ceasefire because, number one, he is going to say it, but these devils have been talking about ceasefire and potential deals. That's not going to happen because, number one, Netanyahu, he has to keep these wars rolling because the moment that these wars stop, he's going to jail for the rest of his life, okay, over war crimes, over genocide and things like that. So he can't afford to have these wars stop. That's why he went in and provoked Iran into this war. Okay, it's not wise, but again, he's looking out for his own interests and to what he believes the interest of the nation state of Israel. Okay, but it's not turning out so well, is it? Okay, because really the Lord forced His hand to bring on this third world war, man. All right, so no, these conflicts are not going to stop. It's not going to die down. They're going to continue on. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have a momentary ceasefire, things are going to flare right back up because we're in that time. We're in a time of war. All right. So yeah, man. Netanyahu, he has no interest in a ceasefire. He has no interest in calming things down, but he has every interest to escalate these tensions because it's in his best interest to justify his war and also to complete this Greater Israel project that they have going on.
That the idea is to impose that outcome. Maybe they quibble about the tactics, but what was fascinating to me in terms of political rhetoric, although not surprising, Israel attacks Iran. And what happens in the rhetoric of all of the West, so-called, these G7 countries? The immediate response is not Israel should not have attacked Iran. The immediate response was Israel has the right of self-defense. It's so surrealistic, so Orwellian, that it doesn't even pass the propaganda test for 5 seconds. But this is exactly what happened the day after Israel's unilateral attack in the context of negotiations to end Iran's nuclear weapons program definitively with the international monitoring, was not to say Why did Israel do this in the context of ongoing negotiations? Or Israel shouldn't have done this, or Israel even did do this? The politics that Europe displayed in the UN Security Council, as I nearly fell off my chair at each statement, was that Iran must not escalate. And some of the ambassadors speaking, for example, the absolutely shameless presentation by the Danish ambassador on the Security Council, didn't even mention that Israel had attacked Iran. This is the UN Security Council. They couldn't even figure out the day that they were there, the day after a unilateral, unprovoked attack in the context of negotiations, that Israel had attacked Iran. The only statement made by the ambassador of Denmark was that Iran was out of compliance with the IAEA, as if Israel, it's not, Israel isn't even a signatory to the IAEA and is the nuclear power of the region and never allows inspections. But the Danish ambassador only attacked Iran for being out of compliance without noting the negotiations, don't know how to play together. I don't even among. It's pathetic. Then one of them posts, and still less without even mentioning that there had been an attack by Israel on Iran that day, and statements by the Israeli leadership that it would kill the leadership of Iran. No one said boo about that. So this G7 is pathetic. You know, Trump came, he went, didn't matter. It's pathetic. Then one of them posts something, Macron, and Trump disses the post of Macron. These are children that have no respect for us as citizens.
Yeah, these leaders are children, okay? They going back and forth, they bickering, they dissing each other on social media. You know what I'm saying? But these are the people that's supposed to be running the world, right? These are supposed to be the wise judges of the earth. They're supposed to be prudent, right? But no. All right, let's go to Sirach chapter 10, man. All right, because when you read, what is that? Job, I believe that's Job, the fifth chapter. You know where it says that they were children of fools. It might not be the fifth chapter, but it's in Job, all right, where it says that they were children of fools, yeah, children of base men. Okay, these Edomites are not wise. All right, they ain't got it, man. This is why the earth is in need of new rulership, man, because these Edomites under their rule, they destroyed the earth. Ecclesiasticus, Sirach chapter 10 and verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Okay, the governments of these Edomites are not well ordered, man. Okay, because why? They're not wise. They don't have sound judgment. They're really reprobates, man. They're all devils. Okay, they're void of righteous judgment, man. Reprobates. All right. Verse 2, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. In what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people. And that's what Esau's doing. He's destroying his own people, man. Okay, because he's dragging his Edomite brethren, okay, into the inevitable Third World War. All right? Which he doesn't have a choice, but nonetheless, a wise leader would be trying to figure out some way to stop this, some way to mitigate the fighting or end it altogether. But you have Trump coming out and saying that he pretty much gave Iran an ultimatum of, listen, either you're going to completely, unconditionally surrender or else. So that's basically like telling Iran, like, look, either you're going to do what we want you to do, either you're going to bend over, or we're going to lay you down. Okay, that's basically what the rhetoric of Trump is coming out. Okay, which that's some straight gangster shit, man. All right? Showing you that these Edomites, they're nothing but a bunch of criminals. Okay, because how is it that you can just go around the earth and bully people and tell them what they're gonna do, or or else, and And then you have the element of nuclear missiles in the mix now. Okay, which before Esau could do that because no other nations had nukes like that. But now pretty much everybody got nukes. You see? So this is why these nations are bucking up and they're getting bold. Right? So you know, Esau, he's in a position of difficulty right now. Right? He's in straits. But through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. All right. And Esau city is burning, man. It's under fire right now. Okay. This man is on the way out.
And this is sad because these children don't know how to play together. I don't even among themselves, much less with the rest of the world. But they have their hands on the nuclear arsenals that can destroy all of us, and we don't hear an honest word about it.
Well, so yeah, we see the surprise attack during negotiations on nuclear reactors in Iran, which should have made everyone very, very alarmed. But I guess it had the same reaction as the attacks on Russia's nuclear deterrent 2 weeks ago. There's nothing. Instead, I saw as well the European leaders arguing that, well, the Iranians are to blame and they have to de-escalate. And it did sound something similar to what Netanyahu was saying, because he was making a speech saying, we we have the right to defend ourselves, and also after the regime change, after destroying the government of Iran, the people there would welcome it as a liberator. You welcome them as liberators, and they would live peacefully side by side after the regime had been destroyed. I mean, do these people actually believe this, or is this just shameless war rhetoric, knowing that Israel's partners will uncritically just repeat whatever they say?
I don't know whether they believe it, but it's not the first time they say it. They've been saying it for 30 years. Netanyahu and his American backers issued a document in 1996 called Clean Break. Clean Break explains the political strategy that's been underway for the next 30 years, which is that Israel will not negotiate with Palestine, and therefore will embroil the entire Middle East in war, bringing the United States in to do its bidding, and that the key is to have regimes in place that will go along with this. So the idea all along has been that the 5 to 10 million Jews in Israel will determine the politics of the roughly 400 million Arabs in the Arab world, and of course vastly larger numbers if one includes the Islamic world. So they've said this all along. And the idea of a rational response to our circumstances, and I underestimate the hubris, the arrogance, the hatreds, and the readiness of people like Netanyahu to bring us to the brink of nuclear Armageddon. By the way, I have to say, and I should add, there is some group, bizarre as it sounds, that looks at the prospect of nuclear Armageddon and shrugs their shoulders and says, well, that's all biblical prophecy in the book of Revelation. I get my email from American Christian evangelicals.
And it is all prophecy. That's the point. All right, as we just read, man, in 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, right? When you begin to see, the signs which I told you before, all right, that this is the end being manifest, right? If you go to 2nd Ezra 16, okay? Let's go there real quick. We're getting ready to close out. Lord willing, this lesson has been edifying so far. All right, 2nd Ezra 16, and we'll go to 18. 2nd Ezra 16 and 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings. Okay, going back to Matthew the 24th chapter, when the disciples came and asked of Yahushua, what are the signs that we can look forward to know that you're about to make your second return? He said, what? Wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, famine, earthquakes in diverse places. Same thing being echoed here. The beginning of sorrows, right? And great mournings. The beginning of famine and great death. The beginning of wars. And the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Okay, so just like he's going into, right? He said that he have people that write him and tell him that, hey, look, this is all biblical prophecy. Okay? I'm not sure with Jeffrey Sachs. I'm not sure if he's a Christian or what, but, he's been told, all right? And I'm pretty sure that he knows of the prophets, man. So all these people know. You see? And a lot of people now are going into the Bible, you know what I'm saying? They're tapping into the scriptures. You have a lot of Christians now that have become prophets. Okay. Everybody want to go into prophecy now, right? But you have these Christians, all right, as Jeffrey Sachs is saying that, hey, look, this is biblical prophecy going down. Let's continue.
Who are the major voter base for Israeli extremism. And I get letters explaining to me, Mr. Sachs, it's all in the prophecy. And the darker things get, the more these are sign of the times of the coming Armageddon. That, to me, is perhaps the most terrifying point, that some people on this planet actually look at the prospect of Armageddon, not only with equanimity, but even with expectation. This is terrifying, and there are millions of American voters like that.
And see, Jeffrey Sachs, it is what it is, man. All right? There are people expecting this World War III. Okay? Let's go into that. Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past. World War II is past. And behold, the third woe, the third destruction. World War III cometh quickly. This the time that we in. So yes, Jeffrey Sachs. Okay, Mr. Esau. Yeah, people are anticipating World War III. You know why? Because that's the spirit that's within the earth. Okay, that's the spirit that the Most High has put on the populace, man. All right, and furthermore, you have the men of the Lord, the prophets, that are pushing that vibration heavy into the earth. So yeah, this how you know that it's all about to go down. And see, he doesn't want it to be that. All right, he's hoping some way, somehow, that these conflicts die down, and that we don't, well, not we, but that his leaders, don't drag them into Armageddon. But see, according to biblical prophecy, man, it's all gonna happen. Okay, it ain't no stopping it. You see, the scriptures speak about the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, where the Lord is going to gather these nations, that's what he's doing. Okay, Revelation 16 and 20, where it speaks about the Euphrates River being dried up and the kings of the east being moved across that region to go into the valley of Jehoshaphat to do this final world's war. And I know that he sees it. All right, he's not a he's not a guy like Colonel McGregor, okay, which is a war analyst, but he can very well see for himself. Like if you watch this whole video, I mean, he has some understanding, a lot of understanding really, as to what's going on with this whole thing. So if he's being told, look, this goes into Revelation, this goes into last days prophecy, then he's looking at it like, damn, these people are right. He's hoping that they not right, but hey, the proof is in the pudding, man.
Weird as can be, I have to say, but actually, that's the fact.
Yeah, that's the fact. All right. So he knows it to be true. Okay, he knows it. We're at the end of the world. And see, these Edomites, all right, they really don't understand what that means for them. All right, this is the end of their world. All right, let's go 2nd Ezra's 6 and 9. Okay, 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay, so the end of this world, Mr. Jeffrey Sachs, okay, that you so badly do not want to happen, this is the end of your world. Okay, the end of his world as well. And all you other Edomites out there, man. All right, you've had your time to brutalize the earth, to brutalize the Israelites, to brutalize creation, to lie, to steal, to cheat. All right, to do all of your wickedness. Now that you at the end, now you're trying to scramble and save yourself. This is really in a nutshell what the small hats are trying to do. They're trying to preserve themselves, man, because they know that when Yahweh Shah come back, it's all over. They going to chains, and they gonna get the most brutal judgment that you can possibly imagine, man. All right, the most hardcore, brutal slavery for 1,000 years, and then after that, they not going to exist no more. That's going to be the end of the Edomite, and the Israelites are going to live happily ever after. Okay? Yeah, Jacob's going to live happily ever after, man. You see? And the other heathen nations will as well after they serve their 1,000 years of captivity. All right, but they still going to have to be under our rule. You see what I'm saying? But the earth is going to be much better off with righteous rulership. Okay, but bottom line, these Edomites got to go. Because clearly what they have done with the earth, ruling in wickedness, it has not been profitable. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out here. Oh, matter of fact, you know what? That's the spirit. Let me bring out Malachi 1 and 4. We can close out on that point, man. All right, we bring out Malachi chapter 1. And we'll start at 1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord, yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation, righteous anger, righteous hatred forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the border of Israel. See, so these people, these Edomites, okay, which those rats over there in the land that say they are Jews and are not but do lie, okay, they are Edomites from the tribe of Amalek, okay, the small hats, all right? The scriptures say that they are what? The border of wickedness, man, that they are the people whom the Lord has indignation against forever, okay? So these Edomites, they done, man, okay? Once the Lord come back, it's all over for them. Really, it's all over for them now, all right? But we're going to close out right there. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying through the Rakah Kadash. Call halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Kom Yasha Allah, Wa Baba Shalom.